Everyone, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel, What Cass Read. Today I'm going to share with you my birthday book haul. If you could see what I have in front of me, you'd be like, this girl has lost her mind. But maybe I did. It's my birthday, so that's how I justified it. I had to separate them into little piles so that way I could make it easier to do this haul. So the first stack of books are books that I ordered myself from Amazon. And let's start with this book. It needs no introduction. This is The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. This is book number 2 in the Kingkiller Chronicles. I already showcased this book in my February TBR because you guys all know I've been talking about wanting to read this book in pretty much every video that I posted for the month of January. So I did end up picking this up for my birthday, and I plan to get started on reading this very, very, very soon. If you haven't checked out my review of The Name of the Wind, I'll also go ahead and link that for you so that way you can see what the first book is about, and then of course this is the continuation of Quoth's story. The second book that I picked up for my Amazon haul is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemison. This is also another very popular fantasy read over the last couple of years. I just had to see what it's about. There's been so many videos about it, there's been so many people who've been talking about it, and of course they've finished up the trilogy just last year, so if I do enjoy this book, I do plan on picking up the rest of the trilogy, which is called the Broken Earth Trilogy, but this is the fifth season. This is book number 1. I found this book. This is The Curse of Chalion by Lois, McMaster, Bujold. It's a recommendation from Caitlin from Kitty G Books. This is one of her like underhyped fantasy reads. This, from what I have heard, this is about an older man, because normally she says that, you know, we meet a lot of these like coming of age, younger, chosen one kids. We see them as they grow up and find their destiny. This main character is a little bit more weathered and worn down. And so this one sounded really interesting, and so I wanted to see what it was about, and if I like it, again, there's a couple other books in this series, and I do plan on continuing with it. So this is The Curse of Chalion by Lois McMaster Bujold. And then my final one for my Amazon haul, this is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. This is the first book in the Lycanius trilogy, and the second book was just published last year. This used to be a self-published book, and then Orbit picked it up. This one follows a younger group of, I guess, teenagers. They're going to a school where they are sort of discovering their magical ability. Well, one of them, he has not been able to demonstrate he has any skill whatsoever, and if he can't demonstrate that he has any skill, then they will name him a shadow and basically like kick him out, and he'll be exiled or something like that. It sounds really interesting. Again, this is one of those that's not that talked about that much, and I was in a mood to search for some of those like less talked about fantasy reads. The way Caitlin describes it, she says, if you're a fan of Sanderson and Jordan, then this one would be a good one for you. So okay, my next stack of books is from Book Depository. I've already showcased this book in my Classics I Want to Read this year. This is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and this was translated by Richard Pevier and Larissa Volkonsky. And this is one of the first crime novels. This young man commits this perfect crime, and then he begins to feel the guilt associated with this murder. One of the first novels to dissect the criminal mind. And so I did say that I wanted to get into some Russian classics this year, and this was one of the ones that I picked up for that. And because I was in a mood to buy some pretty books, this is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Look how gigantic it is. It's a monster of a book, and I don't think that I'm gonna get to this one this year, but I was just in a mood to treat myself with something pretty for my birthday, so I picked up this really pretty vintage classics Russian edition of War and Peace. This book I have right here, this is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This is another standalone Brandon Sanderson novel. I said that I wanted to get to Brandon Sanderson this year, and I do believe that I'll get to the Mistborn trilogy very soon. I have a plan for that. What started all of this is that I wanted to read the Stormlight Archives because I saw that Oathbringer had just released last year and it piqued my interest. But once I started learning more about Brandon Sanderson, everybody's like, no, there's an order that you want to read the books. There's certain books that you want to read before you get to the Stormlight Archives if you really want to understand the whole universe that Brandon Sanderson has created. So according to what people have told me, you want to read the Mistborn trilogy, then you want to read Elantris, and then you want to read Warbreaker, and those ones are kind of interchangeable in sort of the order that you read the 2 standalones, and then you can move on to the Stormlight Archives. I picked up Warbreaker so that way I could have all of those books in front of me, and then if I can get to all of them, then I will be finally ready for the Stormlight Archives. So this is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. And then the next 3 books, super excited about. I plan on beginning these a little bit later, like mid-year. Fool's Errand, The Golden Fool, and of course Fool's Fate. All of these make up the Tawny Man trilogy by Robin Hobb. I cannot wait to begin this set of books by Robin Hobb because this is the trilogy that we finally are reunited with Fitz and the Fool. Fitz is a little bit older than he was in the Farseer trilogy. There's been a number of years that have passed and he's been living in this like self-imposed exile, and his past catches up to him. He's called upon once more for his services, and this is the trilogy that we finally are reunited with him. I cannot wait. I wanted the Harper Voyager editions of this because I didn't really like the covers that, the US covers that were out, so I picked up the Harper Voyager publications of these. I cannot wait to begin, and I just finished Mad Ship this past week, and I'm gonna begin Ship of Destiny in February. So if my plan is to not start on the Tawny Man trilogy right away, but depending on how Ship of Destiny winds up, I might just throw that whole plan out the window. You never know. But this is the Tawny Man trilogy by Robin Hobb. My next stack of books I picked up all from Half Price Books, so I got them all at the used bookstore. This right here, I don't think it needs a lot of introduction to fantasy lovers, but this is The Eye of the World, which is book 1 of the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. I have not read the Wheel of Time series, I know, but I have committed myself to Robin Hobb and Brandon Sanderson for this year, and so I don't believe that I'll get to Robert Jordan until next year. But I saw this in the used bookstore, and this is the publication by Tor Publishing that I really wanted to purchase. And of course, if it's a used book price, instead of paying brand new retail price for this, I had to pick it up so that way I can just have the first one ready to go whenever I'm ready for it. Plots and Points has just posted a whole review and discussion spoilery video on The Eye of the World. So if you're a Robert Jordan fan and you are reading the Wheel of Time series or you have read it, I'll go ahead and link his review down below because, like I said, I don't think I'll get to it this year, but I am committed to reading the Wheel of Time series, but I just picked it up because it was for a good price. I was in this mood to find some of the lesser talked about fantasy books on BookTube, and Caitlin, Kitty G Books, recommended this series. It's one of her top series that she's talked about. And then one of my friends that I train jujitsu with, he and I don't talk books ever. Like, that's not what our conversations consist of. But he ended up posting out on Facebook. He's like, hey, if you're a fantasy reader, if you love Game of Thrones, you need to pick up this series. And I was like, well, one of my favorite YouTubers mentioned it, and then one of my friends in real life mentioned it. And I went to the used bookstore, and the first 3 books in this series were there, so I was like, it's a sign, I have to pick them up. So I'm talking about the Faithful and the Fallen series. This is book number 1, this is Malice by John Gwynne. Book number 2 is called Valor, and then book number 3 is called Ruin. The 4th book did get published just last year, I believe. I don't have it yet because they were not in the bookstore. So this one, I believe, is like very classic fantasy. What I have also heard is that it's a really good mix and balance between religion and action, and anyways, they were all 3 available, and so I grabbed them before anybody else could. And then this next Half Price Books find, I've already read this book, but I had always wanted to get it in hardcover, and they don't publish it in hardcover anymore. So whenever I go look for it online, you can buy it used or you can find it on Amazon for hardcover, but they're selling it for like $100. And I would always go into the bookstore, the used bookstore, and I knew exactly where the shelf was, and I would always look on the shelf to see if it was there. And I told myself, the next time you see it there in hardcover, you're gonna pick it up. Like, don't let anybody grab it, you're gonna pick it up. And that is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I really wanted this in hardcover. I couldn't find it in hardcover anywhere, and I told myself, you know exactly where the Naomi Novik shelf is in this bookstore, so you keep checking back. I'm in that bookstore like every week. I was like, if you see it in hardcover, you have to pick it up no matter what. And I did, so I'm gonna sell back my paperback copy. I'm gonna keep this hardcover copy, and that makes me really happy because Naomi Novik is releasing her next book called Spinning Silver later this year, and of course it's gonna be in hardcover because it's going to be one of the first releases. So now I'll have 2 of the matching hardcover books by Naomi Novik, and it makes me so excited. And then the final books are all gifts that were gifted to me either through gift cards and I picked it out, or I did have one book actually picked out for me. So my parents sent me a gift card to Target and I used that to pick up some books. So the first one I picked up is Pachinko by Min-Jin Lee. This was one of the National Book Award finalists for last year. This is a family saga story. It takes place over a long period of time in Japan, and I've really wanted to get to it. It's been a book that I've been meaning to pick up. I thought about getting it as one of my like add-ons for the Book of the Month Club, but then I screwed up my Book of the Month Club picks last month, so I couldn't get it. And anyways, I found it in Target and my parents gave me the gift card, so this is one of the books that I used to pick up. And the next one I picked up is One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake. This is book number 2 in her Three Dark Crowns series. I finished Three Dark Crowns and I put it in my December wrap-up, and I said that there was a really big cliffhanger that would lead us up into One Dark Throne. I'm really excited to continue with this story, so that way I now will be caught up and I won't have this cliffhanger hanging over my head anymore. And so I picked this up with the gift card that my parents gave me. So this is One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake. This next one was a Barnes & Noble gift card that I used to purchase this, and I kept saying in all of my like Christmas videos, like all those Christmas tags, like what book do you want to see under the tree? What do you want to receive from Santa? And it was always one of the limited edition Harry Potter series. I've always wanted to pick up the box set with the illustrations by Kazu Kabuishi. I wanted all of the Hogwarts on the spine. I also wanted to get Harry Potter in paperback because I have my original hardcover copies that I got right when they came out. And some of those are really old. They're like 15 years old and I just don't want to like wreck them anymore. I've already trashed them when I was a kid, but I just don't like, they're really fragile, so I just didn't want to beat them up any further. So I really wanted some paperback editions, and I wanted this one, and of course birthday came around and that's the perfect excuse to be able to pick up something like this. So I got the whole set, and I'm really excited to have this in my life. And then finally, my husband gifted this to me. I already showcased this in one of my videos. I showcased this in my birthday book tag, and this is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the illustrated edition, illustrated by Jim Kay. This is actually my favorite out of all the Harry Potter novels. He kept asking me, he's like, Prisoner of Azkaban's your favorite, right? And I was like, yeah, I love that book. That's my favorite of the whole series. That's my favorite of the whole series. My second favorite is Order of the Phoenix, and blah, blah, blah. He knew that this one was my favorite, and he went out and picked it up. And it was really funny because I was talking to one of my friends, and he always gets his girlfriend the illustrated editions for her birthday because they come out right in October when her birthday is. And he was like, it's so easy to get a Harry Potter fan a birthday gift because you just get them something Harry Potter and it's like really easy. And the day he said that is the day that my husband gave this to me, and I thought it was hilarious. It was just like he plucked the idea right out of my husband's mind. Like I said, this is my favorite of the Harry Potter novels, and so I'm really excited to just have the illustrated edition and just keep going with my whole Harry Potter collection. So I really hope that you enjoyed this book haul. If you see any of the books in here that you loved and you've read and you just want me to get to them sooner than I said that I was going to get to them, please let me know in the comment section below. Let me know why you love those books. You can also let me know what you think about these books on my social media. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. It's at WhatCastRead, the same as this channel, so I'm super easy to find. And of course, you can also find me on Goodreads, and that link will be down below. So thank you again so much for joining me today. You guys know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later.